Hello, everybody, on this very mid Sunday. How you doing? Got one of my all-time favorites in front of me. A goofy ass movie like 13 Ghosts right here. Got the Benjamin. I think I'm okay. I'm gonna be okay. Nobody panic. I'm here. That's funny. I didn't even notice that I wasn't already in the scene. I thought I was in the hearing soon. That's what happens when I rush. This is your fault. How's everybody doing today? I'm exceedingly excessively. Doing good? Hell yeah, dude. You mean you're doing well? Just kidding. What teachers do. Can I go to the bathroom? I don't know, can you? You bitch! You know what I fucking mean. Watch me beat this today. I won't, but it'd be cool. Called? Yeah, what up, Can? Oh, it's because I yelled you bitch? Shit ad. Oh, that's funny. I actually didn't see when you came in. So that's funny. Was I? Oh yeah. Demon's Law. Can't hear you if you said something. I said, I think you're a wonderful human, and I'm glad you're here. And yeah. How is you, actually? You doing good? Exorcism bow. Is that what that said? God damn it. Nobody can equip it yet, so can't even see. What? Where's the weapon? Stupid ass. Oh, nice. Oh, back. Hey, what up, Ken? How you doing? Do it. Palpatine's gotta be like one of the greatest goddamn villains of all time. Charlemagne is lying when he says he's single. He's dating someone. That is actually non-canon. This is factually false. Correct. Or one can make the argument I'm married to my work. Where the fuck do I go? Oh, other paths here. Oh shit, I was supposed to. May I ask what triggered that? Otherwise, it's very random. Greatest villain is Jay, not helping with the stream. Yo, I've heard the same thing. Cause like I can be very helpful, you know. I don't want to toot my own horn. But also, I'm not above, you know, the occasional ghosting if I get busy, which is such a dick thing to do. But that's something I'm working on. Hold on, I'm not entirely sure where I need to go. Like I know I need to go in here, but oh wait, does this motherfucker open the door for me? Is that what this is? No. There's gotta be something. Button. I'm too tired to stream on Sundays. Every single time is Grandia. I mean, I'm almost done with it. That makes you feel better. Hello, at W. I only woke up like 3 or 4 hours ago. Shattered them. Oh, hi. Hello, Jeremiah. I woke up 8 hours ago. But I don't know. Today was such like a meh day. Like I legit spent like the first 3 hours in bed with my cat, like hanging out, watching YouTube. And I was like, I should eat something. It got me to walk. My nip itchy. Full itch. Itchy. There you go. I'm starting to hear about your nipple. Tried scratching it? Boobies! I didn't know this game had nudity. God. They're attached to freaky snake monsters, but a titty's a titty. Fuck. Trying to type with one hand while itchy is a no-no. Well, tell you what. Just go ahead and scratch your nipple. Get it out of the way. And then message me. You know, I'm here. I'll be here. No worries. No rush. Wait, this attacks more? Oh, this does attack. Hold. Oh, damn. That actually didn't do nearly as much as I thought it would. Oh, shit. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, god damn it! Is this a magic block or a move block? Fuck! You dickhead. Hang on. That's actually kind of a bad thing. Late night here in bed, seeing you streaming, so I wanted to check it out before I fell asleep. Well, in case you fall asleep, thank you for hanging out, man. I appreciate that. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're having a good evening. Yeah. Hopefully you get to hang out a little bit. Would the snake woman titty taste soft like a normal titty, or would it feel scaly? So I think you meant feel soft like a normal titty or feel scaly. Judging by the surface properties of these particular snake women, it does look like the snake parts, you know, like just the long tube. That's scaly. But it does appear that when it gets to be a torso, it is that of a vaguely Caucasian, possibly Asian torso, with presumably soft titties. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna go on an educated guess here and say that those titties are soft. What do you think? Grandia Poo, Twitch tells me I love this game. Dude, that was actually pretty funny when I saw that. Nah, because I would want to put it in my mouth. I mean, I wouldn't knock it. You know, maybe like a vaguely scaly, maybe on the outside titty could be fun. But I don't know. I'd try it probably.
Here goes my impact bomb.
All titties matter. So you want to taste the titty? I mean, yeah. I'd be willing to try it, you know. I mean, I would need a closer look, you know. I need a further examination before I come up to my final conclusion. But I can honestly say they look like they're rocking like some big ass D's here at least. So yeah, I can see myself trying out one of these snake titties. Finishing move into my new house. Tried to invite Jay Conquers over, but he was being a Rudy Poo. Do you actually know Jay? Are you an IRL friend? Would it lactate like a titty? Probably. I mean, titties aren't there strictly for sexual pleasure. They do serve a biological, physiological purpose. So there's no such thing as a vestigial titty. So I like to imagine that these snake women are nurturing, you know, lactating mothers. What am I? That's funny. I got really into that. I kind of forgot what was happening in this fight. No shoutouts? Wait, our shoutouts not happening? Wait, what did you do? Hang on. What is that? Held a message? Oh, dude, I forgot about that. Hang on. This is like over a year ago. I forgot I added... Remember, I added Strawberry Tabby to my filter. That's funny. I forgot about that. Here, I'll remove it. My bad. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, just give me like a minute. I'll fix it. Dojo. Forgot all fucking about that, dude. Probably delete this. No Tabby, no TTS. Joey hates us. No, that is funny though. Maybe it's on Twitch. I thought it was on Stream Elements. Let me check Twitch. I'll fix it, buddy. No problem. I completely forgot about that. That was forever ago. Streaming tools? There's moderation. There we go. Setting. Paul, would a snake woman titty be soft like a normal titty, or would it be scaly? Like it be in your mouth? Would it be easy to suck or pain to suck? Well, you have to think about like the purpose, like the evolutionary reason why these titties are there, you know? Like these titties serve a purpose of nurturing their young, you know, they gotta give them milk, you know? So I like to imagine that they're easy to grab, accessible, and soft. Snakes don't lactate. Yeah, but we're not talking about strictly about snakes, dog. See, what you happen to see is that these Gorgon-like creatures here, these snake women, have titties, you know? That's 100% what we're talking about. So these aren't snakes per se, nor are they human, but they do appear to have soft human titties. Outside all the funnies, I signed the contract up in the house today, and we'll spend the rest of the week moving in. Oh, dude, that's fucking awesome. That's sick. Congrats, dude. Don't worry about it. The titty combo is done now anyway. Now that does suck. I kind of don't know where I put that setting, but it is somewhere. So I'm gonna keep this tab open, and I'll tackle it as soon as I can. All right, bud. What kind of bitch answer is that? Titty talk will never die, fucking pussy bitch. If a thing has titties, they're always soft. Babies need that. Exactly. Exactly. Look at these titties. Now, they do seem to have some embellishments on them, you know? It seems to go outside the norm of a typical titty, areola, nipple, you know? The perfect golden ratio, by the way. With these ones in particular, you know, it looks like they have, I don't know if that's like some sort of like sub-weapon areola or just birthmark pattern, you know? Now, Ken, I'm gonna need you to wash your mouth out with some soap. Your language is just out of control right now, miss. Sunfisk, no. Speaking of stupid, I have a soft spot for the 13 Ghosts remake. Or just 13 Ghosts to people that don't know their history. This is a fun ass time, but god damn it, this movie's dumb. This is prime Matthew Lillard and funny enough, Tony Shalhoub outside of Monk. I'm gonna do this and I'm just gonna backtrack to the fucking save. It's no big deal. As long as I'm in the same room, which I think I am. It's not like I'm gonna encounter. Oh god. Okay. Respawned enemies. Just blowing my wad at these motherfuckers. It's cuz. Did the titty talk really end? I was kind of enjoying it.
Can slash.
Yeah, also, just a little fun fact. The fact that, I mean, these are snakes, and snakes, as Jay mentioned, they don't lactate, you know? Snakes don't give milk. They are reptiles that lay eggs. So these are something entirely different. They have the physical properties of snakes, you know? So clearly the presence of titties implies maybe they do hatch from eggs, but there's at least young for them to care for, you know? So assuming they actually don't have cooters and they do lay eggs, I do still think there's a baby to breastfeed because they have boobs. But I just walk into a very scientific physiological discussion of what are they called? The Naga Queens in Grandia 2. They have nipples though. It looks like they have nipples. I can't tell. May those flashbacks purely... Those may be flashbacks purely for fun with no milk ducts. I mean, while there is a sexual component to I guess titties in the human sense, no, there's no evolutionary reason for that. They were there well before pleasure. So, I don't think people have evolved to have free my voice. I like how it's gone for like a week and you guys resort to don't tell Dread there's any sexual component to breasts. Oh, is that a thing? Or wait, what do you mean? Because I mean, I do like titties as much as the next guy, but I am like, you know when people throw a fit because somebody's like breastfeeding in public? I'm like, dude, it's eating. It's like, shut up. Go through the original Machinima? Steve and Larson used to brag about Snake Lady titties. Did they really? Being attracted to titties is purely a fetish according to Dry. I mean, there might be, you know, because I mean, technically, I guess, because we're fucking complicated as shit with our big ass brains, you could fetishize technically anything. But breasts have evolved for feeding purposes, not just sex. It's true, people get mad when I say I breastfeed in public. At least give me a Bumblebee voice pack. No, I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with that, but Texas Beach is probably not coming back anytime soon. Ah! I will not be silenced. I just saw that. My voice. Bring it back. Bring it back. You know what I love about it is TTS never worked on this channel. It was always a redeem, you know? But that is funny. This is the core of the Demon's Law. Dark Soldiers, destroy the Divine Sword, release Falmar. Follow your orders to the last unit. No, I will not. I've come to retrieve. That's funny. I see it updating like the corner of my eye right now. To retrieve the Divine Sword, I will leave with the Grandia Saber. You're out of line, Automata. If your commander give you orders, then you follow them. Else you are defective. Oh, a nice if, then else. Fun. Almost like a programmer wrote that. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Nice. I am my own master, and your master no longer exists. Your orders are void. I will not fight. I cannot understand. Controller requires repairs. I wasn't ready for a fight. I mean, technically everything you're attracted to that isn't explicitly tied to reproduction could be considered a fetish if that's the logic you're going with. I mean, that's kind of what I was tapping into. I mean, clearly I feel like there's evolutionary reasons to be like attracted to titty, you know? It's like, dog, dude, my babies are not gonna go hungry. Look at that baddie over there. Ooh, look at those hips, man. My offspring's gonna pass through that motherfucker. No problems, you know? I'm pretty sure there's something to that. But, this check coming back. Nice. But I mean, boobs are made to feed their young, you know? I like boobs. But yeah, they're not really made for just being fun bags. This is exactly Dry's point. Everything other than attraction to vaginas and or peens is a fetish. No, I don't know if that's the level I would want to take it to. Big boobs are evolutionary sign that your baby will be fed. Yeah, exactly. Jokes on you, they are fun bags to me. No, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, I'm pretty sure there's like you know, like when I guess a chick's attracted to like the strong muscular dude. I was like, oh cool, he's gonna protect the family and have a strong muscular baby. Which is the point a pedantic retard would make. No, I think there's reasons to be attracted to that stuff, but you know, that's not the main reason. Is to feed babies. That's a fact, you know. Technically, you can have no titties and still reproduce. Ah, do not go inside me. That's what she said. Tio is no longer your puppet. Stop that. It's on you if you make the word fetish weird, but that word just means being into something that is not a sex organ. Is that the actual definition? Because I do think that the way he used it, there is like a negative connotation to the word fetish, but yeah. So I'm like reading chat too. Yeah, I didn't expect this talk today. Theo is no longer your puppet. Stop it. Repair is complete. Eliminate threat. Stop, Theo. Fetish. Something such as material, object, or non-sexual part of the body that arouses sexual desire and may become necessary for sexual gratification. Okay, that checks out. Fetish these nuts on that chin. Nice. I mean, I guess, can there be a gray area? Because I guess by that definition, you know, titties aren't, you know, well, I guess they would be a fetish in a way because it's a non-sexual part of the body, even though, hang on. Because women could be aroused by titty play, right? So there's something to that. Jimmy, look that up. Jimmy, can you pull that up? Your actions need not be dictated by another. Remember, Tio, none save yourself as your master. Like a small violin. Finish these nuts on that chin? Nice. Marig, yes. Just stop thinking fetish means something bad. A titty fetish is totally fine. No, it is. In fact, I think we all have one. How did we get on specifically the fetish talk? Let me look behind my fucking waterfall of bring it back requests. They're always soft. Babies need that. Oh, yeah, the whole thing. Because I think you posed the idea of like, what if they're just fun bags? But no, I think the presence of titties implies live birth, at least something you still have to care for and feeding it milk. Just like how Joey has a midget fetish. No one's judging him, right? Nice. What is that? What is that? Is that not Miles? What is that? That's you. Nice. Prime Riley though? Prime really though? Is that me actually? Is that me? That actually looks like me. Is that me? Or it's an evolutional adaptation to lure human prey. This is true. This is true. It could be like an anglerfish situation, right? Because I was saying earlier, like, there's no such thing as a vestigial titty, so they serve a purpose. Good point. No, Joey, that's racist. Joey, no, that's not you. That kind of looks like me. What are you saying? Yeah, to lure human prey. Yeah, it could be like anglerfish rods, you know, but to lure dudes. Like the OG stories of mermaids and shit. Exactly. Sirens. Why do you ignore orders? We exist to only follow orders. Unit T10124 has malfunctioned. Decommission immediately. Manatees. That's no manatee. That's my wife. This is a world of magic. You can't argue laws of our natural world. There 100% could be pointless titties. God damn it, Jay. Of course you had to ruin the fun.
Say can slash.
You're gonna go that route, sure, Jay. Fine. Discussion's over, you son of a bitch. Sailors are fucking manatees. I made up their stories. I like to imagine that. We're like, dude, she was hot yesterday. I don't know what the fuck happened. I drink enough wine to blind a pirate. Now here I am next to a manatee. I think what we learned is attraction to boobies is a weird deviant fetish. We've attracted to dangly ball sack. That's just natural. It is funny. Oh shit. Lotus flower. I mean, I think you can make educated guesses though. If you want to go, you know, like, oh, you know, in this world, pointless titties could exist. I mean, even with the context of the Fencer world, there's usually an explanation for how the magic. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Either it's to nurture their young, or, like you said, I can totally see it being like, oh, if you want to lure prey, I can see that being a thing here. Like that movie Mimic, but instead of big human silhouette bugs, it's just titties. What was I gonna do? Oh, I need to heal. Fuck, I'm out of that. I forgot about that. How much health you got, you whore? Oh no. Oh Jesus. Oh shit, that's actually really bad now. I'll heal her. Ah! Fuck. It's like that movie Mimic. That's funny. I also think it's funny because I think you're like the only one here that like knows that movie. Maybe they all had boob jobs and they're regular reptiles with fun time upgrades. I mean, I guess if you want to continue, you know, Jay's line of thinking, that also could be a possibility. But I don't know, man. Due to the context of these being enemies in a dungeon, I like to imagine they didn't order or hire surgeons for that kind of thing. I believe those are natural reptile titties. Mimic was alright. I like that movie. Didn't Del Toro direct it? Yeah, he did. Mimic was a big movie. Yeah, he didn't write it, but I think he directed it. I don't think he wrote it. Did Del Toro? Mimic. No, what was that, like 96, 95? 97, damn. Directed by Guillermo del Toro in his English language film debut. I didn't know that part. It was co-written by Del Toro and Matthew Robbins, who also wrote Close Encounters of the Third Kind, fucking Jaws, Crimson Peak, which I still haven't seen. Sugarland Express, I have no idea what that is. Batteries not included. That movie blows. Nice. I thought Fear and Loathing was his English debut. Wait, Del Toro directed Fear and Loathing? I didn't know that. You directed Fear and Loathing? It's Terry Gilliam. Who also did Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Flying Circus, Meaning of Life. Oh, he did a lot of comedies. Oh, and 12 Monkeys. Ew, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Dude, that movie had its head all the way up its ass. And the man who killed Don Quixote. By the way, Joey, Modern Warfare 2019 is on sale for $5 if you want to finish your Call of Duty campaign journey. Oh, dude, I'm on Modern Warfare 2 from like 2020 now. I have that, and oh nice, speaking of titties, sorry, I looked over. 13 Ghosts is on. The naked one showed up. Right now, so I finally got original Black Ops 2, so I'm actually taking a break from Cold War to play that, and then I'll come back to Black Ops, Cold War, and then Modern Warfare 3, I think would be next. I finished Modern Warfare 2. Joey, have you ever heard of Martin Scorsese? I've heard of that one. And Brazil. No, it turns out he didn't direct Fear and Loathing. Sorry, did my little side episode over here. Oh nice, 2019 was the last great one. I actually thought Modern Warfare 2 was pretty cool. Is Modern Warfare 2 the one with the chick from The Boys in it? The one with her in it? Because I played them all like back to back and they did kind of blur. Yeah, get Modern Warfare 19, Joey, so we can play is that Search and Destroy? I could consider it. Let's see. What's Search and Destroy? Oh wait, what is Paralyze? I need to, how do I get rid of Paralyze? This one. It's $5.99 right now? No, I think I have it. She's in 2019 too. Is she, maybe I'm on the sequel then. Let me check. Is Modern Warfare 2 on sale? Because I played one of those for sure. Because you were there when I was doing it. I played like 8 Call of Duty campaigns in like back to back. It was a wonderful like month.
Please.
In fact, I kind of want to. It won't be nearly as like expansive as Resident Evil, but I kind of want to do a Can I do a Call of Duty campaign marathon on stream? Modern Warfare 19 right now is making a comeback. Oh, I didn't know that. That's good for them. Shit. What is this? Some wind attack? That's how bad the others are, LOL. No, because I played... So here's the order that I did. Randomly, I ended up finally finishing Modern Warfare 2. No, it was 3. Because I played the remasters of 1 and 2 on PS4. And I was like, oh, I want more of this. So I ended up getting Modern Warfare 3 on 360, and I played that. And then from there, I played Black Ops 1, World at War, Advanced Warfare, Ghosts, Black Ops 1. Did I say Black Ops 1 yet? And then I actually replayed World at War. Yeah, I've been playing the campaign and multiplayer. So good, dude. It's really fucking good. Wait, what? Theo clone. Oh, why does she look like now the clone? Oh, that's why she was teleporting. It looked like it was telling me to target fucking Elena. Oh, with that, I'm out. Gotta get up early. Cyber, no. All right. Well, thank you for hanging out, bud. You have a great night. Finally, Cyber Lycan's gone. Bite your tongue, you son of a bitch. Haven't talked shit. I'll defend his honor. Damn it! No, I was gonna cancel everything.
Really?
Free my voice. Alright, now you can talk shit. Same, gotta wind down too, night y'all. But I'm here. Ha ha ha. Hey, what up, Cash Cow? What honor? The honor of being present for my Gorgon reptile human titty talk earlier. For that.
Lotus flower.
Oh shit, I should have healed. Damn, dude, that attack kind of fucked me up a bit. He can all heal too, can he? No! Alright, hold on. We're gonna eat the attack. Thanks, Cash Cow. Appreciate it. One ally. Oh, all allies. Healing incense will do the job. I love that one. Wait, I talking about the titty talk?
Lotus flower.
Damn, he hit all of us, you bitch. How was your day, Cash Cow? Beep. Oh yeah, I like that redeem too. Let's do this one. You excited for another exciting day at the office tomorrow? Oh, we're fucking dead. About to go to bed, I just want to talk shit. Well, nice, I appreciate it. Your talk is welcome. Fuck! Rito, no! Am I gonna be at the office? Oh, yeah. Did say that. We're gonna have like a house party style event, like Project X at the office. But it'll be clean before you show up, okay? I promise. Fuck! No, magic. I think I have something for this. I have resurrectability. I do not. I thought I did. Holy shit. Alright, well... Damn it. Yomi's elixir? All 5 levels. Remember, you're meeting me for lunch. Not gonna be at the office. Yeah, I remember at what do you say, like 2:30ish, something like that. I think he said 2:30. Yeah, at the restaurant. Yeah, I remember. This one. Sorry, I don't know why that was such a fucking.
Here goes.
What do I do? I thought you said you were faking sick tomorrow because my retarded ass boss will never know. Nice. Now he knows, Jay.
Beast King Smash!
I believe it. Funny.
Go.
Heal me. Revive me.
Loaded flower.
Jojo. I gotta catch up on that fucking show. God damn it. One of the two? This gonna be my second game over here? Can't be. No. That. Let's see. Yeah.
Tensei can slash!
Then we got Tio. Tio will do it. Did that slow you down a little bit? See. I thought you said your boss is very smart to fall for anything, but you did feel very. Hold on, wait. I thought you said your boss was way too smart to fall for anything, but you did feel a very real cough coming on. Wink, wink. Yep, he got it. That is absolutely correct. His boss is fucking stupid. It's funny. It's funny. They'll actually invite them to latch onto that, I bet. Like, yep, that's what he says. Fuck! What do I do? Hang on, this is actually kind of shitty. And this bitch still has a lot of health. Oh my god, I'm dying here.
Lotus flower. Bloom.
I'm stupid. I'm stupid. Like Spartacus. I'm stupid. No, it'll be a revive item. Needs elixir. Let's try Hero's elixir. Then all healer might be nice. No, Merrick, you dumbass. No, I'm God. No, this is Patrick. Spartacus was directed by a guy named Stanley Kubrick. You should look him up. I've heard of him. I'm familiar with his work. LOL. He did Transformers 6, right? Wait, no, bitch, get up. Hold on, did they not revive you? I'm so confused. Hold on, I need better healing for one ally. I'm gonna use it on her because I think she's about to be woken up. Oh, but it won't let me. Shit! Fuck. This is the one director I think you'd love. That's fucking funny. Oh, there was one director, Uwe Boll. Oh, fuck you. Nah, he did the porn version Transformers Bumblebee Cups. Uwe Boll. I won't lie, I did enjoy have you seen Rampage? I thought that was alright for what he was trying to do. He just wanted like a make no Russian but a movie. And even, you know. First. Hey, what up, Frenchie? How you doing? Far Cry should be nominated for an Academy Award. Yeah, most likely to make me vomit. Oh shit, that means Transformers Bumblebee Cups. They got robbed. No! Nice! I countered too! Hell yeah. Far Cry sucks. And then so does Blood Rain. And then so does Alone in the Dark. And then what else did that fucker make?
I hope you do.
Lies! Alone in the Dark. Blood Rain. Yeah, Far Cry. House of the Dead sucks. Transmorphers? No, unfortunately he did not make that. But Asylum did. He didn't make that, but I know you love it. I don't love Transmorphers. One thing from Asylum that I do like is, have you ever seen World War Z? No, not World War Z. Z Nation? It was like We Have Walking Dead at Home. That was actually kind of fun. Like by the end, it had like some crazy ass like lore. How do I remove a block? No, it's paralysis, isn't it? Isn't it lightning? Or it's not magic block, is it? Let me try it. I'm just gonna try it. Sultan. This bitch is fucking us up. Like, I'm like panicking a little bit. I'm looking at my spells like, ooh, what do I got?
Oh, spears of ice, come to strike.
Hit that bitch.
Beast fangs.
Good night, mofo. Good night, you Jav Turkey.
Please.
You son of a bitch. See you tomorrow, man. I'm really excited for lunch. All my babies are leaving me. That's just me, Jay, and Paul. Yeah, like I said, I ended up buying Final Fantasy 15. I won't play it until I'm done with 9. I mean, not 15, 16. But I'll play it after I'm done with 9. Spell is this bitch trying to do? Gale? I might hit this time. Yep. Fight. Oh, then she had iframes after she did that. What's up, Jay? Wallaby.
Good luck, everyone.
Hero. Alright, this is it.
Whoa, that was a close one.
Valor. Is the movie loud? Can you hear name? Elizabeth Shannon? Shannon Elizabeth. It's one of those. Screaming for her life right now. Ghosts. Okay, good. What is her name? Is it Elizabeth? Shannon Elizabeth. Okay, okay. People should stop having like 2 first names. Stupid. There's an order. Destroy. The light. Darkness. Sorry, you were only following orders, just as I used to. But you would not understand me and not want to fight you. Destroy light. Order. Oh. And they do the Final Fantasy sprite thing where they just blink off and go away. I hope I do that when I die. like wherever I'm at. Like being this tonight? Probably not. Probably not. But that's what I like to imagine. It's just like as I die, however means, I just want like my body to like blink and it just goes away. That's not always being tonight. Oh, I mean, that's a given. That is the controller of the divine law. Destroy it and the wall of wind will disappear. Let's do it then. Fucking do it. Let's go. Hiya! All resources under control of the Legion of Darkness have been rendered inoperative. With no immediate threat to the vicinity, the Grandia Saber will have to deactivate its protective wind barrier. Let's go. Richie, can you wear a wig tomorrow and stream as me until you beat Mythic Quest? Mystic Quest? Is it Mythic Quest or Mythic? It's Mystic Quest. Okay, I was like tripping. I thought I stepped into like a Bernstein Bears universe right now. I'm not a masochist. He's like, I'm not a fucking monster. Wish that evil on me. Sorry, Jay. They'll apologize to him. He's fine. Yeah, if you're gonna stream on a day I can't be, you know, there to watch, make it Mystic Quest. You said you have like 2 more streams left of that? The fuck? Double bots. Yeah, they've been doing that lately. I noticed, I guess they come in pairs like fucking Siths. Frenchie, can you wear a wig, lipstick, and corset tomorrow for my stream? I'll hopefully be it tomorrow. I hope you do. No. The wind has subsided. I love Grandia music. By the blood of hell, that's the Grandia Saber. That is the divine sword. It's huge. For the first time, I see there are things greater than myself. In more ways than one, truly. This blade would cleave mountains, yet who among us has the strength to lift it? I'll do it. At least I tried. Yeah. What's the worst you could say? Is no. Oh, I can go this way. All right. There it is.
Elena, you have done well.
Oh, Celine, you bitch. Get out of here. Get out of here.
High Priestess Celine?
What are you doing here?
Time's it? No, I doubt I can finish
Your
tonight,
work
but I
was
might actually
impressive.
finish this tomorrow.
His Holiness Zera will be overjoyed. I have come to help you. Come, awaken, body of Valmar. The time of revival is nearly upon us.
The body of Valmar?
Where? I don't see it.
Take my blood and be born again, oh body of Valmar.
Crazy bitch. Oh wait, why is your blood blue? Censorship? I feel like that should be red. It should be red, you fucking son of a bitch. But you would change the in-game graphics but not the fucking pre-rendered cutscenes. Dumbasses. It's clearly blood. That's funny. Like, no, it touches the brown and it becomes earth magic.
Priestess Celine, just what is the meaning of this?
Oh, body of Valmar, I sacrifice this one to you.
Sacrifice these nuts, bitch. Can you believe I'm gonna go through this every month?
Elena, you
Another one
must
of God's
fulfill your role
wonders, right?
exactly as ordained.
What is that woman doing? The smell. It must not be.
Hey, has she gone nuts? What is this?
Venom. Oh, nice. It's like sin.
Damn it! We gotta stop her!
But how can we?
Let me at her.
This is my mission. I see.
Elena? What's the matter?
Millennia? Millennia? Do as you wish.
She starts blowing Ryuta. Like teaches of peaches.
Ah, just as they planned, eh? Well, the best laid plans.
Millennia? What's going on?
Can't hear you! I'm gonna take on that behemoth, and you're gonna help me. Come on, let's rock!
Heal, girl. Oh, we're inside of it now. What the hell are we supposed to do? If we take out its core, there's no way in hell the thing will keep moving. Give a damn how big it is. Ew, I know, right? Right. Let's do some damage. Damage. It's got squishy footsteps too. Awesome. It's like when that one chick gets squishy to death in Akira. Girl up in them guts. Yeah. Call me the gut rearranger. And that's how babies are made. I know, right? It's exactly what I remember in health class. What are you up to, Frenchie?
Chase the hellfire!
That's it, you fucker.
Lotus flower. Bloom.
Nothing, just up. I should be sleeping. Yeah, technically I should be asleep, but I'm not gonna. No!
Hardly worthy of my notice.
I think I might just go to sleep. Now, is it because you're tired or is it because I'm playing Grandia 2? I wish I had Joey energy to just never sleep. I'm always tired. That's my secret cap. I'm always tired too. It's a discipline thing. I have none. And whenever I do get a taste of free time, I don't want to end it. I just want to play a video game or something. Why not both? No, I'm tired too. But I mean, on the bright side, I'll die soon, probably. So. Thank God. Yeah, exactly.
How about this?
Later, y'all. Oh, you're going to bed. All right. Later, Paul. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. We're not too sweet. All right. I just wink at the camera. Hey, yo. Too slow. No, that worked out really well, I think. Buy anything good on the Steam sale? Just Final Fantasy 16. How about you? But yeah, like I mentioned, I do want to play it soon, but I'm not gonna play it before I finish 9. I don't mind it being my off-stream game, but I gotta finish that at least. I always buy a bunch of shit. Yeah, me too. I'm trying to like be a little smarter. Like I usually wait for sales unless it's like a Final Fantasy or no Resident Evil situation where it's like I need it now.
Tensei can slash.
I got Silk Song, the whole Postal franchise, and a couple small indie games. I have some Postals somewhere. I have at least like 2 of them, I think. But I've never really played it. I played the demo for 2 like back in like high school. That's really it. And then I saw the movie, which I remember not hating. Go back to what Cash Cow was talking about. I remember watching that one and being like, it's dumb, but
Practice if you want to beat me.
it's made worse. What do you expect out of a Postal movie? Where am I going? Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, no, I am lost. Okay. I've had a request to play Silk Song. I don't want to yet. Go down. Okay, it did. Here. Enjoy Hollow Knight. I'll eventually stream Silk Song. Yeah, I haven't played Hollow Knight either. That was the request. I confused it because I'm not a fan, but I do know the difference. I just put my mind. But yeah, the request was for me to play that, but I'm like, eventually. I want to stream just a bunch of random shit right now. You. Everything else I got paused for me because I'm a Final Fantasy junkie. You know, that's really cool. I'm really glad you're streaming those. Oh boy. God damn it, I didn't equip it.
Here you go.
So yeah, you have hopefully one stream of Mystic Quest left, and then you'll be on 5, which I'm looking forward to. How far, without interruptions of this, do you think you're gonna go? Like, you're gonna hit like 5 and then maybe 6, then take a break, or you're gonna stick with it, go into the 3D era? No clue. Every time I beat one, I'm excited for the next. I can't see myself not wanting to play 7 right after I beat 6. Yeah. No, that I definitely feel that. 7's so good. And I really enjoy RPGs like this. I'm not entirely sure I have the streaming schedule to do this regularly. Although if it's the new 7 port is still broken, I might have to wait. Get the 2013 one that I got and then just mod it. Just get this, not the remaster, but just get like the Steam, the basic ass Steam version of it. Just add a couple mods. Trust me. Just get the widescreen one, the 60 frames. It'll be good. I have to, but I want the achievements. Oh. Okay, yeah, that might be a problem. I don't think they support, like, will the 7th Heaven launcher not let you get mods or achievements? No, just beat him up. Just beat him up. Just attack. I don't want to mod it. Yeah, I know. I meant like not the stuff to like fundamentally change it, but there's a couple just graphical mods that I like a lot. Because it already has a higher resolution, but the AI upscaled backgrounds are nice. The upscaled cutscenes are nice. I like the real-time shadows. No, nothing to change the game, really. In fact, I disagree with what Square did. Was when they remastered, like, I think 7, 8, and 9, they added modifiers to let you speed up the time or instantly heal and have all your limit breaks activated. I'm like, dude, like, that's missing the point right there. That's too far for me. And that's from Square. That's how the game, like, that's vanilla now. When you buy it, it has that feature, and I hate it. Like, the speeding up time, sure. You know, I guess I can see that one, but the whole instantly fucking killing all your MP, HP, and your limit break stuff, that's too much. I think that breaks the game in half. I didn't use any of them. I didn't even speed up the time while grinding in 4. No, that's good. You wait, 4 has that? I wasn't aware that the Pixar remasters had that mod, so, or not mod, but you know what I mean. I didn't know they had that added feature. Which, if so, I disagree still. I believe so. Okay. I thought that started and ended with 7, 8, and 9. Like I said, I guess, like, I could totally see the speed one, but yeah, the instant heal and the limit break thing.
Torch him!
Does Paul like Final Fantasy 7, or is he gonna bitch about that one too? He definitely used to. I don't know if he still does. He has a weird hatred for all older games. I don't get it. I'd argue there's a lot of instances where I think older games are better than modern games. But to dismiss it just because it's old, I kind of hate that. Live your truth, King. Rival gym, nice. Uh-oh. At the back. There's an achievement for going on the date with Barrett. I'll probably have to do that second playthrough because I think you have to not talk to Tifa and Aerith or something to do that. I don't remember the details. I actually don't remember how to do that either. I remember the first time just because I knew that's what the story wanted me to do. I picked Aerith. I kind of want to pick Tifa. If I could, I'd bring Jessie. She deserved better. I should rotate the camera. See if that's gonna hit both of them or just one. Hit both. Uh-oh. Oh, Matthew Lillard is sacrificing himself right now. He's about to get killed by the ghosts.
Here you go.
This is important, guys. I'm sorry. Be right there. Matthew Lillard, no.
That was beautiful, you guys.
Sympathy nut. So we give your mom. Yeah, it's this way. Wait, abilities here?
Tensei can slash!
This may seem a little.
Dang. No, not how slash. That might cancel. Is it gonna? Okay, good.
I'll wield
Tensei say can slash.
Nice.
Beast bang!
You better practice if you want to beat me.
Me up. Release me. Oh yeah. Seems gross. Like I'm in Osmosis Jones right now. We decide your next game? No, not really. Like, there's a few things like I'm considering. Like I kind of tempted to just go into Grandia 3, see how this goes, because I never finished it. I'm also eager for like Onimusha or another like random one-off, like some bullshit PS2 game. You know. I'm not fully committed to anything just yet.
You better practice if you want to beat me.
Like I'm really enjoying playing this game. Like I was saying earlier, it's just like I don't know if JRPGs fit well with my stream schedule, you know. Anyone should be sick. You haven't done. If you haven't done them by October, I might do it. I'm pretty sure I'll get those done by then. I hear you. You said you played first one? Which ones of those have you played? 'Cause I played through all of them one way or another. Fuck. Even though I think I'm not sure if I ever actually finished 4. I played 1 and 2 back in the day. Yeah, I have 2, 3, 4, and Tactics physically, like complete in box, but damn it. I used to have 1 also, but I sold it, a dumbass, to get the remaster. And like I said, this is before I knew about the whole like, oh, the soundtrack changed and shit. That was a regret of mine. But yeah, I fucking love Onimusha. At the time, I remember 3 being my favorite, but I'm really curious on how it would feel after replaying them all. 4 is great. 4 has probably the best like action gameplay and camera, because it ditched the you know, that static camera angle thing that RE did. They had it up till that one. I like the change. I feel like it had too many characters though. Like 3, you can play as like 2 people. And in 4, you play as like 6.
Lotus flower. Bloom. This may seem a little.
3 also has like one of the hypest intro cutscenes I've ever seen in a video game. Bitch. It's a mirror her. I'm sorry.
That was beautiful, you guys.
Ba, ba, ba. Fire charm. Oh wait. I need to equip some shit. Hmm. Wait, combo attacks +2? What? Oh, dude. Fuck yeah. I did not know that it existed in this game. +2 is crazy.
Shut up, bitch!
No, that's awesome, dude. That means bitch can fucking attack 2. Like instead of like doing 3, because that was an extra thing, right? Now I can attack 4 times. And Rito doing like 300 damage, that's fucking amazing. Are you working tonight? No, you're not. No, you're not. Your off day, but this is your recovery day. I'm at home, sleepy as fuck. Dude, I'm sleepy too. Probably going to bed soon. I want to at least finish like this area, and then honestly, I might beat this tomorrow. If not, for sure, like by Wednesday. Which is exciting. So I really should think about what I want to stream next. Do you have any suggestions? You seem to have been very pro Onimusha.
You better practice if you want to beat me.
Suggestions for your next game? Yeah. Do you have any like action game? Onimusha would be action, right? Is that what you're thinking? Or you mean like more like a Bayonetta type Pokemon?
Lotus flower. Bloom.
Do a platinum game or something. Is Bayonetta platinum? Is it? I never actually played that game. It's been on my mind. For a one-off, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, maybe. I adore Vanquish. Oh, have you finished it or did you drop it? 'Cause I was actually pretty excited that you were playing Vanquish. Pretty good. Yeah, I never played it. I like Devil May Cry. I remember at the time I was like, "Who's just Devil May Cry?" I kind of dropped it. I like it, but don't love it. What else is platinum made that I might have? Platinum Games.
You better practice if you want to beat me.
They made Transformers Devastation. Oh, Metal Gear Rising. Near Automata. They made Star Fox Zero? I didn't know that. Is it gated? Is it gated or guided? I always ping pong between both. You God Hand? I've never gotten far into that game. Is that Platinum? No, but I think that's Shinji Mikami, isn't it? God Hand. Directed by Shinji Mikami, who decided to create a game for hardcore gamers, intermixed with a large amount of comic relief. Initially received a mixed response from critics and sold modesty upon its release in Japan. It was Clover Studios' final game. Retrospectively, the game has received more positively and considered a cult classic. God Hand whooped my ass, but I want to give it another shot. You just want to see me suffer. No, that's a strong maybe. Bayonetta's not a bad choice. I can see me getting into that. I don't think I've streamed a character action game outside of like gory, but that was not a difficult game at all. That game was fucking fun though. That was a blast. I know your boy has been like, I mean, among other things, but he's really been asking for Never Dead. Could be kind of fun, maybe. Or Lollipop Chainsaw. Sword and Sandals 2, dude. Every time he brings it up, I'm like, fuck off. No.
Beast King last.
Like, I can confidently say I'm never gonna play the Sword and Sandals games. Same. Like, maybe if I didn't have a console and it was like 2002 and I was on like miniclip.com, Shockwave, and I was there, I'd be like, you could pass the time, but I have so much better things to do with my time than play Sword and Sandals. What's over here though? All right, 13 Ghosts is done. What should I put on? Next Lord of the Rings? My Bloody Valentine?
Thunderbolt! Strike!
It's too far, and it's actually really heavy. I have like 3 decades worth of DVDs in this fuck. Alright, let's put on what the 80s Dune. Major Pain. Or Hollow Man. Actually, Hollow Man's kind of fun. I can put that on. 1 Hour Photo. True Lies. True Cinema, like Alien vs Predator Requiem. Yeah, let's put on fucking Tremors. Let's put on Tremors. Neutralized is underrated. Is it? I thought people like it. But they're just not what like the go-tos when you think of Arnold movies, right? I feel like it's just memed on for the strip scene. I mean, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I was never attracted to Jamie Lee Curtis until I saw that movie. But I know what you mean. There's some good shit in there though. Fucking, there's a pre-crazy Tom Arnold. I know it's Randy Quaid I was thinking about, but yeah, Tom Arnold's in there. He's fun. I was always attracted to her since Halloween. Really?
Nothing was
I saw what she was working with, and I was like, oh, okay. Okay, Jamie. This way. Wait, what does this mean? Am I looping? Back here. I'm not going backwards, am I? Like I did this like 20 minutes ago. Oh, I probably pushed these in just like the right way to get through. I'll just go this way.
Lotus flower. Bloom.
Yeah, there's like a more than 50% chance I beat this tomorrow, but to be safe, I'll probably beat it Wednesday, unless I stream on Tuesday. I might do it Tuesday, but probably not gonna stream on Oh shit, Millennia, no.
Please, take this.
Oh, you guys pissed her off.
Piss off!
Torch him!
Ooh, new weapon. Who dis?
We just managed to squeak by.
Under battle axe? Who's that to? There's a lot. Ooh, also, what do we have for powering up? We have a lot. Holy shit, Joey. Fuck. You have resurrect. I thought it was somebody else. God damn it. Like another water one. There's leaf water, which I could give to T.O. Might work. Magic damage, restore MP. Ooh. Shit. Lost everything. I'm broke, nigga. Whip. Well, everybody got some extra. Oh shit. All right. Power. Oh shit, hell yeah, we gonna get this. Okay, yeah, this is kind of sick. Alright, equip. So he's got strength, speed, aim for counter is kind of nice, and then dash is nice, but it's not necessary. I would like this fucker to just get strong. So, SP or strength? Both. What do I cut? It's fine. It'll be worth it. Even though I don't really use magic like that unless I have to. When I do use it, you know, he is the go-to for the fire and lightning. Decisions. This is where we go. Fuck! This way. Oh, it is this way. I don't think I was supposed to do that. Fuck this level. Damn right I do. Four times. Yeah, Tio's pretty strong too.
You better practice if you want to beat me.
Goes the other way. Oh shit, wrong one.
If you want to beat me.
Huh. You fucking thought. Fuck am I going? Oh, it looks the same. Clearly there's something here with these. This is a dead end, right? Yeah. Okay, so I gotta around and come back. See, at least Grandia 1 let me zoom out and look at like more of the map. Not all of it. Certainly not all of it, but more of it. Now it's a big help. This one, the levels are less complicated, but like there's more verticality to them. Not bad, but I think I'm mindful. Mars core. Well, boys, this is the core. Trash it in the monster's history. Jeez. Oh boy. Wait. Did you kill someone?
Release wind.
Wait, us too? Oh, it says all foes. But I think it shuffles us around. I don't think we take damage. That's what it looked like last time. Yeah, our health is just as... Oh, actually, that did take a little bit of damage.
Sworn enemies, you shall be defeated.
Sky, take flight.
Sky Dragon Flash!
don't know if those guys are in range for this. Do it anyway.
This is my way of thanking you.
Yeah, what games is Platinum Games made? Grandia 2, Transformers Devastation. I always wanted to play Mutants in Manhattan. And I think I heard that's kind of like a mid Platinum game.
Lotus flower, bloom.
Round! Beast King Blast!
Tatsugiri?
Sworn enemies, you shall be defeated! Take that! Sky Dragon Slash!
Nice counter too. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Ice.
Or I could try the near games out. I imagine the near games are long. And do I need to play Drakengard first? Get the bad ending and then play here? Oh, fuck you, Tatsuguri. Your games are long, you'll need to play Drakengard first. Yeah, I think we've talked about that. I used to own Drakengard.
You guys okay?
Sold it. I might like this. That's why I don't sell my games anymore. I always regret it. You do need to start with Near Replicant, not Automata. Yeah, not Automata is like the third one in the series, some shit like that. You know, it's standalone, right? But or is there an actual like narrative thread? I don't know. I'm just looking at the games that they made. Apparently they worked on Final Fantasy 16. Should I stream that? Okay. Now that's one that I want to keep to myself. For now. I just like immersing myself with those kinds of games. There's only 2 in the series. There is a narrative thread. Okay. And then Drakengard's like a hypothetical alternate future based on like one of the bad endings or something like that. Ending D or whatever. I remember watching like some sort of like, and not even a breakdown. I think it was just like they mentioned it. No, Nier is based on the ending D of Drakengard 1. Yeah, I think I worded that backwards, but that's what I meant. I'm actually glad I knew it was D. That's funny. But yeah, Nier is based on one of the endings, which is one of the bad endings, right? I guess the world ends or something. Or you don't have to tell me. It is on my list. And one day I'll own it. Is that really a good or bad endings to Drakengard? Oh. Alright. I remember playing it for a bit. I got a little bit bored. It was a little too simple, but I'd be willing to give it another shot.
Hey,
work a little harder.
These fangs!
Alright, let me just kick his ass now. Ah, you motherfucker!
Strike! Purple lightning!
It's different.
Take that! And that! Yeah! Ha!
Got something for a bit more.
Here goes.
Yeah, Onimusha's on top. List. I do a random Evil Dead game. Just it's been on my mind lately. I don't know. There's like so many games I could play. Hail to the King. I'm never gonna stream that game. That game is just an annoying pain in the ass. It's like, imagine Resident Evil, but with like the ghosts from Silent Hill 4, and you have like gas you have to worry about with your chainsaw. It was just, I don't know. It just wasn't fun for me. I sincerely hope you like it. I mean that. I really do. But I didn't.
This may seem a little.
I played it. Yeah, I have too. Did you like it?
Lotus flower, bloom.
No, yeah, I didn't like it at all. And I just thought Fistful of Boomstick was just okay, you know? It had some good ideas in it. I like the magic system. It kind of plays a bit like how it did in Symphony of the Night, where it's like you input commands. Like it's a fighting move and then you do spells. But Regeneration's where it's at. It's like a what if after Evil Dead 2. Where instead of getting sucked into the portal, like this happens.
Nothing withstands my blade.
Our lives are imperiled. Body does not hold together. Cool it, Manimal. We have enough time. Hello, Governor. Hey, what up, Angel? How was you? You have a good day? I just looked at the time too. I was like, dang it, I missed it. Every 11:11. I is good. That's good. That's good to hear. Now I have the body. Yeah, she do. Ugh, that was rough. Oh, now that we found the Grandia Saber, what'll happen to you? Lena. Which I know. Yeah, what are you up to, Angel? Why did it have to end up like this? Hey, baby. I just wanted the body of my own. Ryudo, was I wrong? Millennia? Tad time. It appears that monster is left. Whatever. Anyway, we got the Grandia Saber, finally. How are we gonna carry it? I'm going to bed. Good night, Jay. Thanks for hanging out, bud. Have a good night. No, you're not the fucking boss of me. You have a good night, bitch. Later, dude. As a man could not bear its weight. That's what they say when they have to carry Jay to his grave. Do not worry, I shall control it. Huh? What the hell are you talking about? When does the bad thing happen for approaching that? Where are we? This is the main control room of the Grandia Saber. Control room? We're inside the Grandia Saber? Oh, there's actually big revelations here. This is good stuff, though. Sorry, I had to switch over to my PC. How dare you? You're fine. What are you apologizing for? Just over my home of DVDs. How's your night going? It's going okay. I kind of had a weird day. It's just extremely meh, you know? You ever have one of those? It's like... Why would happen? I don't know, just a mood. I'll probably tell you off stream. Nothing too crazy, but I don't know. This is weird. Not quite emo, but just like bleh, you know? The Grandia Saber is powering up. I wasn't feeling very fly like a G6. And that's not allowed. I totally get you. This game helps though. This is good shit. Yeah, listen to that music. Typo shito. What are you doing right now? Alright, say something. We hang pendant on the threads of air. Remarkable. Want to do my nails and cover up my hideous nail? Oh. Yeah, dude, I would have freaked out after that story. I'm like, just be careful with the nails. And don't get those crazy long ones. Those are the risky ones. We are really high up. I don't know why she said it like a joke. True, yeah. Like, I think there's like a threshold, right? Where it's like, you can get kind of long. I was like, oh, those are cute. But then I see some girls and they're like fucking Freddy Krueger. I'm like, hi. How? Like it gets in the way. How do you wipe your booty when you have Freddy Krueger claws, you know? You really are high up. I just feel like I'm about to fail. Mine is more medium nails. Yeah. They are. You don't have the crazy ones I'm talking about. You don't do the fucking Lady Deathstrike ones. So this is the power of the Grandia Saber. It fights evil and has plenty of legroom. I have set the Grandia Saber to land automatically at St. Helm Papal State. Is that right, Ryudo? Yeah, that's alright. Thanks. Perfecto. Thanks, Tio. So yeah, another job is finished. We did it. Now the earth itself shall be safeguarded. It is good that this is so... This is so what? No, it's the way he talks. Yes. What about the Celine? That bitch. I'm guessing she was trying to off us. What the hell was she thinking? Lena. You heard anything from Zara? I guess I'm thinking about what Celine said. No? I heard nothing. Well, when we get back to the Papal State, Zara's gonna have a little confessional session with me. Huh. What did that mean? I'm a little tired. Me too, T.O. Can we rest somewhere? Damn it. A weird burp. Yes, Elena. Come with me. Do voice acting. I don't want to read anymore. Ryudo is present with himself. Oh, wait. Should present himself before His Holiness Sarah with the horns of Valmar. Oh, Lord Grannis, Look, Zara will have a lot to say, but if we don't want to hear it, don't listen. Like, I never listen to you. Why must I always do what you want? I'm my own person. Bruh. Millennia? Zera really pisses me off. I hate him. All he wants to do is take away people's freedom. All he wants is to make you a slave. Why do you listen to everything he says? Loyal dog. You lie! Holiness Zera is trying to save me. See? Always about you or the stupid world. What about Ryudo? Don't you care about what'll happen to him? You really think you can be safe and happy? You dumb bitch. Yes, I can. You can't get it safely from light. You only get it from the darkness. No, you are Valmar. Lies! Do not deceive me. Leave me be. Ah, even if you close off your heart, I'm not going anywhere, Elena. I say myself to the mirror every day. Go away! I hate you! Can't make me go away. Should know that by now. I mean, jeez. Are the wings of Valmar. That is all. I have no room for you in my heart. Go away, Millennia. You bitch. Stop. I'll never let you have your way with Ryudo. Bye, Millennia. We'll not meet again. Man, what the hell is wrong with Elena? Came all this way to find the damn Grandia Saber, now she pulls this. Just like her. Bitch. Elena may still have some unfinished business. Still, you got the Grandia Saber, hard part is over. All that's left is to put the big toy in this big chest. We get the job done. Can't you be a little happier? Where you get the tea from? The inventory? Let it be. You will only make matters worse. For your tone rarely bespeaks your true sentiment. The kid's just finishing for praises from Elena. Fishing. Indeed it is so. What's happening? Oh yeah, shit's going down. What is this? No, the day of darkness. It cannot be. What's happening, Elena? Cutscene. Oh shit. Oh my god! The day of darkness. The day has come. Valmar! Is it really the day of darkness? Valmar? Valmar will revive? What do we do? What should we do? Let's go see the priest of the cathedral. I know. Pope Zera will help us. Let's go to the cathedral. It's safe there. Hey, good luck with that, guys. Day of darkness came all of a sudden, so the priests have all been lying. Said the day of darkness wouldn't come. Please help us. The day of darkness and the knights. Slow down. What the hell are you talking about? Knights of Granis massacred. My boy! Oh wait, I was gonna quote Godfather, but for some reason, that's my son! Popped in my head from Harry Potter. I was thinking like, look how they massacred my boy. That's what I was thinking. Everyone in front of the cathedral. What? This cannot be! The knights would never raise a hand against the innocent. Their concern is with the heretical. Heretical? I don't know the word. We must inquire into this with all. Let's get moving. Let's rock this joint. And we just run. Yes! Wait. Why is it telling me to go this way though? Oh, fuck you, camera. You're lying to me. It's not. Romeo! Is that from The Godfather? Yeah. It was the way they worded it. The way they said massacred, I was gonna like quote Godfather, but for some reason, homeboy from Harry Potter popped in my head. He's like, that's my son! My boy! And he like, it's so fucking heartbreaking. But yeah, it's fluent in quotes. You playing anything tonight? You just chillaxing? Wait, I didn't mean to leave. Is that at least a cutscene, or am I leaving the map? No! Damn it, Joey. Alright, go to church. Oh, it's funny, he was right there. Eek! You guys ever remember cartoon Eek the Cat from the 90s? That was my shit. What the? Just chillaxing? Oh, hell yeah. Damn, they're just fucking killing people. Have they lost their minds? Yeah, you fucks. I forget. They might do the thing in here where they get corrupted and it's like the armor from RE4. There's like a parasite in there. I might be tripping, but there might be something to that. Maybe some wires are crossing. There's murder in the bearing, not... If I say too fast. Damn it, let's get to it then. Hey, is my stream? Yeah, we good, we live. I thought it was frozen, but it's just my app. Let me restart this and then plug my iPad in. I got a text. Ooh, let's do that.
Lotus flower. Bloom.
Wait, it's Melania again. Fuck, I have to, or Elena, I have to upgrade her bullshit. Honestly, switching back and forth between these characters is annoying me, because I keep forgetting to actually do the armor. Weapon upgrades. A magic egg.
Here goes my impact bomb.
She aight. Yeah, I don't have it equipped. Dumbass. Alright, just attack. Fuck him up! Tio, no!
You better practice if you want to beat me.
It's good that you're chillaxing. Just playing my whittle game. And then I have Tremors 5 on next to me. Oh yeah, there was a thing. What were those guys? Yeah, okay, there is like a little gooey in there. Look, see, this. They are as inhuman as their sense. From the appearance of things, you are correct. They're not human. Why? Did the day of darkness really come? We must meet with His Holiness Zera. Quickly, Ryudo, we must hurry. Let's go. What was that? Oh, yeah, no. Glass slippers are here to stay. You're never taking those off. After I went through, I don't care if they make it worse anymore. You were wearing those, bitch. Damn, plus 15 attack. Copious ring. That's not bad. It's better than the Jade Charm. But she does have a pretty decent, like, base stat set, you know? The whole... And these. And she's got miss. Okay, that's right. Try, what's in the soul egg? Yeah, yeah. My healer's nice. Star. Nice. Power up, yeah. Go save. Let's fight this motherfucker. There we go.
Wait. Just stop your foolishness.
So good. So much better than the first game.
Celine! Did you order this?
No, unfortunately.
Is this the will of Grannis? Why would you do such a thing? Saying it's the time of Valmar. Just whose side are you on?
High Priestess Celine.
Where do you get off?
You probably do not understand.
Cut the malarkey.
Knowing nothing and without understanding, ignorance is bliss.
What do you mean?
I'm in.
It is the way of the world. Do you not think it is funny? Why so painful, you ask? Why so ugly? All
Yeah.
due to man's own sin.
Yeah.
The desperate masses are powerless, clinging to God, their hearts without faith.
Yeah.
Mouthing prayers, but fearing the day of darkness. Thronging in the cathedral like rats, huddling in a sinking ship.
You killed them for that?
Poor people. Death is their salvation. Did they not themselves pray for release from their suffering?
What?
That's what they meant, you
High
asshole.
Priestess Celine, why was it necessary to go so far?
Elena?
Elena, have you forgotten your own mission?
My?
Elena? Just what is she talk?
It's like she's all that. But with Ryudo.
Where do you place your faith now? In that man, maybe? But I
Is a
am different.
male.
To devote my life to His Holiness Zera. That alone is my wish.
Cool story, bro.
Why did you give me such a sad test? Please, surround me with your great love. Do please watch, Your Highness Zero.
Freaky.
This is my true love.
Calm down, girl. Oh no. Escalated quickly. Bring it on, bitch! Is this the fish of... Oh, is the heart of Valmar? Is that what this is? Oh, yeah. What's your name? Heart Valmar's heart. Okay, okay. Nimble.
Lotus flower, bloom.
Glad I stopped at that inn first.
Tensei can slash!
Ah! What's first? Fence loss, and then black fog spew, and then stop that one. Ah! No, I'm lost for both. Watch, just one? Looked
Here
away.
goes my impact
Damn it,
bomb.
Tremors 5, you distracted me. Flame? Ooh, that's not good. Alright, Yelena, you're back on medic duty. Tenseiken slash!
Tensei can slash!
Snooze? Oh no, not snooze. Snooze is annoying. Sleep in any RPG, I'm like, fuck off. Don't you ever. Ever! Just sleep. God damn it. Alright, well, while this long ass cutscene's going, let me get my chapstick. I think I know where it's at. It's still going. Okay, good.
Tensei can slash!
Uh-oh. Let's at least wake them up. Was it just one person? I thought it was all of them. Oh shit. Oh.
I'll be okay.
Will you? Wake the fuck up! Oops. What?
Please, take this.
Sworn enemies, you shall be defeated! Take that!
Galthar's hammer. You shall be avenged.
Slash!
Don't put the defense loss. One more.
Lotus flower, bloom.
It'll be worth it.
Here goes my impact bomb.
Just because that attack looked like it was gonna be a son of a bitch, you know? It's not. Fuck. Let's just go for one of the eyes. Let's just focus fire on... I can deal with Bird Strike. It's... about... As long as I keep healing, I'll be fine.
Lotus flower, bloom.
Nice. That worked out. That worked out. Glad that happened. Don't do that one, because that one barely does anything. Oh.
Sworn enemies, you shall be defeated! Take that! Sky Dragon Slash!
Lotus flower, bloom.
Nice. Yeah, we got this one.
Oh, tainted ones. Return to the world of darkness.
Tensei can slash!
Did I finish it? Oh, this will.
Nothing withstands my blade.
Are those high heels? Are you alright? You just absorb a piece of Valmar? How can that be? High Priestess Celine circlet. How could High Priestess Celine have been possessed by the Heart of Elmar? I actually forgot about that. I'm a songstress of Grannis. My mission. Lena, what the hell are you doing? Holiness Zara assigned me a task, which I've just completed. In order to prevent Valmar's awakenings, Holiness Zara asked me to collect all the pieces and absorb them into me. And then the Granite Saber shall be used to destroy me and Valmar as well. By the blood of... This is not a good plan. What about Millennia? What about the horns inside me? So please, do not come any further. I don't want to see your heart destroyed. Bye! Look, I don't want to see her soul destroyed either. So, we should not follow her? Milena's intent is not to die needlessly. She does her best to live by your sake. You know what you must do, Ryudo. Kills her. Yeah, I guess. Damn, they're all dead. Not good, he's dead. Find Elena. Yeah, hang on. Hang on, damn it. This way? Oh, it is. Oh, nice. You were wrong, after all. Zara said there's no god, but Lord Grannis. What happened here? Hey, pull yourself together. Holy door. What did Zara see? Sighed. Zelda's your... She is your... Zara, you must find him quickly. Holy door, what is that? Unless it hangs in the air. There's these stairs. Stairs? Where's I? Must be the door. Zara's inside. Yes, and upon my honor, Elena is here as well. I cannot mistake her scent. How tragic. Holiness Zara, you know that High Priestess Celine was possessed by the Heart of Elmar? Yes. Well, Huh? Zara, what are you doing here? You don't do Elena. Well, it's not Mr. Ryudo. Thank you. You have done well. Ryudo, I told you not to come. Not come. Hope Zara, please destroy Valmar quickly. I beg you, please. Preparations for the ceremony are complete. Oh yeah, this is Revelations here. You not need the Granite Saber? No. Now all I need is you. All I need is you. Then quickly, Elena. Ah. Please wait, Elena. I must give Ryudo his reward. Just him in the face. First, let me show you the real world. Everyone, please come. Come this way. I did.
Light and darkness are intertwined.
Man's soul is also thus defined. A balance giving rise to good and evil. Yet, the world is covered in darkness and is now headed for certain destruction.
What are you saying, Pope Zira? Why did you send us to get the Granus Saber? Are not the preparations for sealing Valmar already complete? All we need is the blessing of Lord Granus.
Yes, that is certainly so. Yet darkness is strong, and light is weak. Why do you think that is?
Roaring Moon. Wild Roaring Moon. That's the name of a Pokemon? Off bot.
Long, long ago, light and darkness fought each other in perpetuity, wrestling each other for dominion. Men too fought for light or darkness. Hence the battle of good and evil began. It was this battle that put an end to the rivalry between Granus and Valmar. Good and evil. Come, you too should bear witness to the truth.
Well, waiting.
Long, long ago, the people lived happily, basking in the light of Lord Granus's love. The world was bountiful, filled with radiant beauty. But then Valmar arrived and brought the taint of darkness to the world, staining the pure and innocent hearts of the people.
Like how he's like basically just an alien threat.
A battle between light and darkness was inevitable. The battleground stretched as far as the eye could see, and the fighting continued endlessly, with neither side yielding an inch. Finally, the time had come for Lord Granus and Valmar to face each other, to settle the long, endless battle. Then...
How could that be? That was the end of the battle of good and evil?
yes, Lord Granus died long, long ago.
Name.
Valmar was victorious in battle.
Lord Granus died?
Yes, that is why there is no light in man's soul. Now that Granus is dead, there is no way to prevent the revival of Valmar. The world is certainly doomed.
What? Then why did you make us hunt for the Granite Saber?
You could never use the sword of a dead god to defeat Valmar, who is about to be newly reborn.
You cannot be Pope Zira.
Oh, if that
I'm the butthole of Valmar.
Granus had found the Granite Saber, I would not have needed you. My purpose was to release the body of Valmar that was sealed together with the Granite Saber.
What did you say? You can't!
Yes, Celine too performed her last service. It was for that purpose that I planted the heart of Valmar within her. My goal is the revival of Valmar.
So everything I have done so far has been...
You fool! The Devil's trade is in damnation, and your dealings will damn us all, even yourself!
That I know well. Yet to save this doomed world, we have no choice but to use the power of Valmar.
Why is the crest of darkness here?
Songstress of Grunts, girl of vile power, you shall awaken Valmar. The time has come, Elena.
Your Highness Sarah! No!
As I promised, I shall drive millennia from you. I shall drive out darkness and sin. Now, come to me.
Hey, I don't own that ball? Aw, lame. Roaring moon, I want one.
To the moon and witness the revival.
Oh, I really wanted one. That's lame. So long, sucker! She just leaves. No way in hell he's getting away. Lena, save you. What course of action do you suggest? Oh. We can go to the moon on the Grandia Saber, but there's barely enough energy. There's risk that the horns within Rita will be activated. I can't abandon her. I won't let you get away, Zara. You won't get your way. Save. It's the right way. No, it's not. I forget where I have to go, but it's in here. Or do I have to go back to the Grandia Saber? I forget. I think it's in here. You have to like press A on something. Or do I have to leave and go to the Grandia Saber? Okay. And that's not what this is. I just remember at some point there's like a light elevator, and I remember being like, where do I go? And like that was it. But it didn't look like it. What is this? Oh. Oh wait, no, what is this? Okay. Yeah, I think I have to run to the Grandia Saber. Pastures. I think it's this way. Yeah, I remember I fucking kept getting lost. So I was like, where do I go? I forgot about the pastures here. gonna save the world. I'm gonna save Elena. Going to the moon.
What an odious thing. The smell. That is the root of destruction.
So that's Valmar's moon. Tio, just plunge it in.
Yes, sir.
Like this music. Nothing lives in this place, only this foul smell. It's the smell. It's still inactive. The revival of Valmar has not yet begun. Don't give a damn. Need to get back. Blend it back. Mars moon. And for those who are here, unfortunately, this is where I have to call it. See who's live, if anyone. I am pretty fucking asleep. I'm you playing? Yeah, this is 4. Jade Infinite is playing Requiem. Nice. Austin Zombieland is playing 2. Where are you again? Starting soon. Emmy is playing a Deathless Run? Oh, it's not so hard. You got this. Oh, and she's dressed like a Jill sandwich. Hell yeah. I might rate her just for that, to be honest. Yeah. Let's rate Emmy. I haven't rated her in forever. She doesn't need viewers because she's at like 270 something. But you know, fuck it. Peace out, everybody, in about 10 seconds. You guys all have a great rest of your night. I gotta get ready for fucking work tomorrow. And it makes me sad. Bye, everybody.